Well, it wouldn't be almost spring training time without a Scott Boris client still not having signed yet, despite it being almost spring training time. To be fair to Boris, things have been different this offseason for him and his clients. A lot different. Unlike a year ago, where none of his guys got the big long term deals they were looking for, the vast majority of his guys have gotten that this year, which includes some of the same guys who didn't get those deals a year ago. But there are two big names still on the market, arguably the two biggest, still on the market, both Boris clients and Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso, who just are not where they prefer to be compared to their fellow Boris guys like Blake Snell, Max Fried, Corbin Burns, Juan Soto, etc. In the case of Alex Bregman, it's already pretty as confirmed as it can get he's not staying with the only franchise he's ever known in Houston. And for a while now, Pete Alonso's return to the only franchise he's ever known in Queens was still very much in play. That has now changed, and they don't seem very happy. It's like we're watching an ugly divorce unravel right before our eyes. Really quick, as always, if you're part of the 56% of viewers not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button if you enjoy the videos. Hey, it's not as ugly as that divorce that just happened by a woman who left her husband for an AI Brad Pitt catfish.
Excuse me, Mr. Pitt, but would you mind if I FaceTime my friends with you here? Oh my god, they'll go crazy!
Sure, Meg, it'd be my pleasure. Why don't I just take this dip?
Yes, that actually happened. So it's not as bad as that, but it's still not pretty for Pete Alonso and the Mets. So Alonso remains as one of the only Boris clients to not be getting that bag yet, despite being, of course, a really, really good player. Now, Pete Alonso is also a first baseman, and I covered this in another video recently, how there seems to be a larger trend going on with the position of first base, just in general, how teams seem to value it less and would take a much cheaper option in a heartbeat. And the point is, Alonso's market, I feel, is pretty limited just based off of that. Like, I wonder if Pete Alonso was an outfielder, let's say, would his market be different? It definitely would be. And there's a decent chance he's already all signed up for on a long-term deal, or at least something a lot closer than what he's been looking for. When the Mets signed Juan Soto, my first thought, well, what was my first thought? First was obviously, oh my god, Juan Soto to the Mets, and then the reaction to the contract. Okay, there were like 20 other first thoughts, but after he signed there, it felt like Pete Alonso going back to the Mets was not likely at all. But then as the off seasons continued, it kind of gradually seemed more realistic. He just ends back up there anyway. The money is obviously not a factor. It's just more about the amount of years the Mets want to give him and if they feel he fits their team. And it seemed as if it was all just going to work out in the end. I mean, the old captain of the team, David Wright, was publicly saying they should bring him back. It just seemed right, especially when Alonso is one of those players who, I can't speak for you, but I can't imagine him on any other team. I know he's only ever played for the Mets, so that makes sense, but a lot of players, you can easily picture them somewhere else, even if they haven't played anywhere else. Alonso, no. But this newest report from The Athletic is the one that's telling us it's all falling apart, and this may end up with us seeing Alonso in another uniform. After initially disagreeing on the length of a contract, as the Mets wanted to go shorter than what Alonso was looking for, Boris and Alonso came back agreeing to the idea of a shorter contract, pitching the Mets a 3-year deal with a high annual salary and one or more opt-out chances. The Mets countered that with another 3-year deal at a lesser salary, which Alonso declined. The details of that Mets offer provided to us by the folks at the New York Post are this: an overall guarantee of about $68 to $70 million, and it includes opt-outs over the 3 years. It's also reported that the Mets were open to pushing that guaranteed amount of money slightly higher, but it also seems there was a big enough gap compared to Alonso's asking price for the team to say aight and move on, as it's being said they expect Alonso to sign elsewhere. And who's interested? The Toronto Blue Jays, who are also in on Alex Bregman, ready to take on a player, any player, who might have to take their offer only because he has no other choice.
Oh boy. Oh, this is sad. Oh, this is just,
The Jays are really staying committed to this bit. They're also a finalist in Roki Sasaki, just being interested in every player imaginable just to end up with none or get one, but only because his first choices didn't like the player's physical. What this seems is pretty obvious. Pete Alonso wants to go back to the Mets. I mean, why wouldn't he? He and his camp are willing to try and get a short-term deal to make it work with what the Mets are preferring, but they're asking for way too much per year for it to work. Looking back at it now, Alonso really misread his market because in the middle of 2023, he turned down a 7-year, $158 million extension from the Mets. Say he took that deal. It would have started in 2024, so starting in 2025, that's now a 6-year, $135 million deal. That's $22.5 million a year. He probably takes that if it's offered to him right now. But he declined that, and the two are currently stuck at a crossroads, and now the team looks to be moving on fully, ready to figure out first base another way. Move guys around they already have, like Mark Vientos, to first, or get something cheaper on the market. Or they can trade for Vladdy Jr. The Mets have been rumored to be discussing that, although I doubt that happens, or at the very least, I feel like it'd be dumb for them to make that happen, or for any team to make that happen. The Blue Jays are apparently looking for a return greater than the one the Nationals got for Juan Soto when they traded him to San Diego, which is very dumb on the surface, considering Soto is and was not only just a better player at that time, but he still had 2.5 years left of team control, whereas Vladdy has just one. So, in other words, the Jays do not want to trade Vladdy unless they get some ridiculous, stupid, unrealistic package in return from some dumbass team. He's so close to free agency. If you're the Mets, just wait to sign him. But if they're that serious about Vladdy, whether it's via a trade or signing him next year, that also means no more Alonso. So I just feel like there's a number of things the Mets would rather do than give Alonso a big contract. And unless he takes what they're offering him, they're not going to put too much more effort in and have no issue moving in a new direction, which is where we stand right now. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you for watching.